What is up, my fellow Chibits? Today, I'm going to bring all of you the weekly manga chapter review of Boku no Hero Academia, or by the English title, My Hero Academia. So with that being said, 5 seconds. 5 seconds. Holy shit. Okay, so many, myself included, at first probably reading the chapter, might have thought that that timer at the end of the chapter might have been 5 minutes. But if you think about it, it looks like it's 5 seconds. The first number would be milliseconds, the next would be seconds, and then the next after that would be minutes. That's what I was assuming. And if you think about how it was displayed, for instance, the way the combo was displayed at the end of the chapter, it makes you assume that it definitely was very fast. Because look, what, Vault Boy said. He stated like, okay, I guess I'll handle the ranged ones first. And so he went behind him like a teleportation and started fucking up the entire back line and wiped out half of the entirety of the students that were facing him. He wiped out half. Pretty much all the long range fighters were wiped out right at the start. And if you look at everybody that's up front, that's like physical fighters up close and personal, they turn around and they didn't even realize what fucking happened. Like, you just see how they haven't moved and they turn around like, whoa, what the fuck happened? And you see everybody on the ground and down. And also, we gotta remember what Eraser had said at the end of the chapter. Out of everyone right now, including the pros, Vault Boy is the closest to the #1 spot. That means #1 hero, Vault Boy is the closest, including pros. Now, let's factor in everything, okay? Let's think about All Might's fight with All For One. We know All Might is incredible. He was ridiculous. His fighting was ridiculous. We know that man was crazy fast. We saw how he jumped from like point A to point B and how fast he was. That man was ridiculous with his speed. Now, we know All Might was the #1 hero. He had all this speed, all this strength. Now, let's factor in this with this new character, Vault Boy, and how the timer was at the end of the chapter. 5 seconds. If he is really close to being #1 hero, according to Aizawa, then that being 5 seconds makes a hell of a lot of sense. That's not 5 minutes, that's definitely 5 seconds. Now, like I said, it could be either or, but I'm assuming 5 seconds because when you see the situation that goes down of how fast he moves and how he goes up, he knocks everybody out, and when you just see, like, Izuku, he turns around and you see it at the end of the chapter and how Aizawa states like he's the closest to #1, all you can assume right then and there is that this man beat them in 5 seconds. So yeah, this man, incredibly fast. Like, ridiculously fast. Like, it's disgustingly fast. That's just, yeah. So, this guy, Vault Boy, his power, definitely something I have seen before. And I think we can all agree we've seen this power kind of from an actual well-beloved series, Naruto. If you've ever watched or read Naruto, you most likely know who I'm about to mention, Obito. Obito had a very similar ability, to where he could phase and you could phase through him and then he could appear and attack. And it's something I've seen before. However, I feel like this ability is going to be very distinct, for instance, compared to what Obito was. Obito, he had a very cool and dangerous ability. However, I feel like this ability, it might be a little bit more dangerous, but also might have a very crucial weakness. We gotta factor in something about Boku no Hero Academia that many of us need to constantly remind ourselves about. All quirk abilities usually have some weakness, something that's very negative on the user. Izuku's ability, one for all. He can make his legs and arms and all of his bones just break and snap like paper mache if he goes over his limit. Let's look at some other characters, how, if they continue to use their electric type abilities, their brain will become fried and they'll become basically brain dead. Or you have other characters to where, they can't control their fire and ice and it hurts a part of their body. Ochiko, she gets, sickness because, if she tries to use her ability on her, she feels sick and she wants to vomit. We know a bunch of characters have weaknesses when they decide to use their quirk abilities. Not all quirk abilities are helpful, and I'm not even talking about other characters when it comes to the villain side either. There's some villains that have been completely fucked over thanks to their abilities, which I've talked quite a bit about. So when you factor all of this in, even though this ability looks very fucking powerful, like it's insanely powerful, like Vault Boy's power is fucking dangerous, and even wiping them out in 5 seconds is crazy. However, it's not the ability that we should really be scared of. It's actually, as was stated even in this chapter, the technique. And what I'm getting at is that his ability overall, it definitely has some crucial flaw, which I'll get into in a moment. But that's not what makes this character scary. What makes him scary is that you can see from the way his body is displayed that he is not someone that just relies on his quirk ability. He has clearly put in a lot of effort into his training in refining his quirk ability. Because, as we know, one of the big things about the classes of Boku no Hero Academia, what they've been trying to do in recent chapters, is to improve upon their quirk abilities and use them in ways they never thought was possible, and make it to where they can overcome their weaknesses with their quirk abilities. And that's what Izuku's been trying to do, with using his legs in a fighting style. And that's probably what these, big three, these big three have done since they've been in school, trying to improve their quirks. And judging by this dude, Vault Boy's actual appearance, the way he looks so buffed up, he clearly has been through a lot of training. He has definitely been through a lot. He's definitely improved his body. And even if for some reason you manage to hit this man, I feel like his body will be able to deal with some form of punishment. Maybe not being able to take so much, but at the very least he might be able to take a hit or two. And that's what I'm assuming because of the way his body is built. But on top of that too, we also have to think about how his ability activates in the first place. There has to be a weakness. And there's some very key signs, and I was discussing with people on Twitter today, that there's some very key signs that this ability might have a very crucial weakness. And that weakness could be, possibly, him holding his breath. Now, what I'm talking about is, if you go back, I'll probably show pictures on the screen for you to see for yourself, but if you go back to the chapter, every time the man has someone phase through him, his face, like his mouth is closed. He's like his mouth is closed. If you look really closely, on picture on the screen, you can see it for yourself, you'll see every time he's getting attacked, he has his mouth closed, there's emphasis on his face, and it doesn't look like he's trying to breathe at all. But then when he actually initiates and, is fighting, he actually has his mouth open and he's talking. So what many of us were discussing is there is a very likely possibility that this man could possibly only activate his quirk when he holds his breath. But this brings up a hell of a lot of new questions to this as well. We gotta factor in, this man was talking to Izuku when he was in the middle of the wall in the last chapter. So, something else is attached to his ability. We don't know exactly how that works. However, maybe the only way his ability, activates is by holding his breath. And so, because of the way his body is built, we can only assume he's trained his body to be able to deal with something like that, being able to hold his breath for long periods of time while also being able to fight. And this also makes up for the timer at the end of the chapter. Just 5 seconds, it makes sense. Being able to hold your breath for 5 seconds, that's something you would see in everyday life. But being able to put out that much punishment and being able to move that fast, it shows how much training and effort he's put into his body to be able to become that strong. So yes, this man, automatically ridiculous. He's only scary because of how he's refined his body, but not because of his quirk ability. Now, his quirk ability is scary too. It is a scary ability, don't get me wrong. I mean, in the wrong hands, that ability could really fuck over some people, and probably even fight All Might. Factor all of this in. The man can make it to where he can't be hit by anything. No matter what you throw at him, he cannot be hit. We even see Izuku try to hit this man, he couldn't get hit. We saw ranged attacks try to hit this man, he couldn't be hit. And so clearly, from what we saw in this chapter is, no matter what you throw at this man, you can't hit him. Now, we don't know if this actually applies to maybe psychological attacks, maybe someone getting in his brain and fucking with his mind or something. We don't know if he can, negate stuff like that. However, when it comes to anything physical being thrown at him, nothing works at all. And that's a very strong ability. In the wrong hands, just imagine what this man could do, okay? I'm just gonna throw something out there. This man is able to phase through things. And we've already seen that this man is able to phase through something like a wall, but then he's able to, I guess, solidify himself to where he can start talking in if he does hold his breath. So he can, like, merge with something and then leave it completely and it'll be fine. That means that this man, let's just say he wants to be like a robber or something. He could walk into the middle of a bank, go through all the walls like nothing. He's like, fuck the walls and fuck all the bullets or whatever shoots at him. He's like, fuck all this shit. Walk in, just grab the money out, And then there you go. As simple as that. That's how easy this is for this man. On top of how his body mass is and how he's built himself, we know this man is crazy. But there's even scarier things this man could do. Let's factor this in, okay? Let's say you're trying to fight this man up close and personal, like you're a close-range fighter, like Izuku. You're going in trying to punch this man. This man phases, and let's just say he phases in through, like, let's say your body or whatever, okay? Like, into your arm, and he grabs your bone and just breaks your fucking bone or something, or he rips out some form of, like, tendons or something. That's what that man could do if he could phase through your fucking body and then stop and solidify inside of your body. That is a scary ability. Now, let's not even talk about what he could do with your organs as well. So, in the wrong hands, that ability is powerful if it's used in that type of way. However, it's not that scary because it does have weaknesses, but it's thanks to the person that makes it so scary. Now, with that all being thrown aside, let's just discuss something that popped up in my mind after watching, or slash, actually, I don't know why I said watching, but after reading this chapter, what popped up in my mind. As we know, there is a spy, okay? There is a spy in the school. We know for a fact there's a spy giving all a bunch of details to the Villain Association. We know that. That is what's been going down. And we do know that in this chapter it was revealed that apparently Vault Boy was a troublemaker. He was someone that gave up on being a hero. It was even stated in the middle of the chapter, he gave up a while back on being a hero. He regained his faith and it seemed like he actually wanted to be a hero once again. However, we do know he gave up on being a hero in the past, and that makes my assumption to where he might be working for the Villain Alliance. I could see something like that being done. I mean, with how his character is, how ridiculous it is and all that, how, you know, from what we're seeing here, there's hints that he might be the person that was probably going to be the successor of All Might, and the way he's supposedly the #1 hero, we could only assume he was supposed to get All Might's quirk ability, but not Izuku, but All Might chose Izuku. So the way it's going right now, it seems like this man might be the potential spy. I feel like he might be the spy, judging by his character, judging by how he was a troublemaker and all that, judging by how his ability is and how powerful it is on top of that, I could only assume that this man might be the spy. And I mean, you gotta imagine this too. What if this man did get All Might's quirk ability, okay? Just imagine how ridiculous this man would be. I don't even want to begin to imagine, like, how powerful his character would be if he had All Might's ability. But that's safe for a different discussion for another day, but just imagine though, holy fuck. So, yeah, this character, crazy. I feel like he is the spy because of his introduction, and I mean, there's a potential possibility maybe the others of the big three might be, you know, a potential spy. Maybe. I mean, the girl could possibly be one. Maybe the dude that's, you know, gets stage fright and he doesn't like looking at everybody and being in a large crowd. Maybe he might be a spy. We'll just see where it goes. Regardless, though, a very good chapter with some very good introductions, and also getting to see the power scaling of who is the strongest hero in the school right now compared to our characters like Izuku. So let me know your thoughts in the comments below. How do you all feel about this week's chapter of Boku no Hero Academia? Did you enjoy it? Did you hate it? Please let me know your honest thoughts in the comments below. I love you all so much. Please be safe. Chibi out.